Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a real environmental chemistry masterclass. We're going to demystify two absolutely crucial ecological processes: biomagnification and bioaccumulation. We'll be tracking exactly how invisible toxins build up in our ecosystems and, ultimately, how they impact everything from wildlife all the way to human health. But to kick things off, let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered why your tuna, a delicious protein-packed meal, so often comes with a very serious mercury warning? I mean, how does a heavy metal end up floating around in the middle of the ocean? And more importantly, how does it get inside the fish on your dinner plate? Well, the answer lies in the invisible toxic journey we're about to explore. Here's our agenda for today's explainer. Section 1, the invisible toxic threat. Section 2, bioaccumulation. Section 3, biomagnification. Section 4, comparing the processes. Section 5, real-world examples. And finally, Section 6, ecological and health impacts. Section 1, the invisible toxic threat, origins and causes. So, environmental pollution is really the starting engine here. Every day, factories and industrial plants are discharging various chemicals and heavy metals right into our air, water, and soil. Add to that all the pesticides and fertilizers from large-scale farming that just seep into nearby rivers and lakes. But you know what makes these chemicals truly dangerous? It's their persistence. A lot of these substances completely resist breaking down. They just stick around in the ecosystem for incredibly long periods. And because they have high bioavailability, which basically just means they dissolve super easily in water or body fluids, they are incredibly easy for living organisms to absorb. Section 2, bioaccumulation, individual buildup. Which brings us to our first big concept, bioaccumulation. By definition, this is the process where an organism absorbs chemicals from its environment, whether that's through the air, the water, the soil, or just its daily diet. The real danger kicks in when the animal takes in these chemicals faster than it can excrete them. So instead of being flushed out naturally, harmful stuff like heavy metals literally accumulates in the body over the course of that single animal's entire lifetime. Actually, it's not just about getting exposed. Rapid accumulation requires some pretty specific conditions. For instance, chemicals that are lipophilic, meaning they have a high affinity for fat, are way more likely to get trapped inside an organism's fat tissues. Duration is a huge factor too. The longer an organism is exposed, for sure, the greater the buildup. Plus, large, long-lived species with slower metabolisms bioaccumulate way more than small, short-lived ones. To put that into perspective, a massive old lake trout is going to harbor significantly more toxins than a tiny young minnow swimming in the exact same water. Section 3, biomagnification up the chain. Now enter biomagnification. If bioaccumulation happens within one single animal, biomagnification is the process where the concentration of toxic substances actively increases as they move up the food chain. We're talking about multiple organisms across multiple trophic levels. These harmful substances accumulate at progressively higher and higher levels, which means the species at the very top, the apex predators, bear the absolute brunt of the contamination. Think about it like this. As you move up the food chain, the toxic load just skyrockets. A predator doesn't just eat one smaller fish, right? It eats hundreds, maybe thousands over its lifetime. Because of that, the larger predator inherently takes on the combined, concentrated toxic load of literally every single smaller creature it has ever consumed. The toxins magnify. Let's walk through this journey step by step. Step 1, contaminants like heavy metals enter the ecosystem through something like industrial runoff. Step 2, primary producers, your algae and phytoplankton, absorb these contaminants. Step 3, herbivores come along and consume massive amounts of this contaminated plant life. And finally, Step 4, predators eat those herbivores. As we move up to even higher predators, those toxins accumulate in exponentially higher concentrations. Section 4, comparing the processes. So, to prevent any confusion, the crucial point here is visualizing the timeline. Think of bioaccumulation as a horizontal timeline of a single life. It's just about the buildup of toxins within one organism over time. Biomagnification, on the other hand, is a vertical climb. It's looking at the increasing concentration of toxins as they transfer upwards between different organisms across multiple levels of the food chain. One single organism versus the entire food chain. Section 5, real-world toxic examples. This brings us perfectly back to our opening question. Why exactly is there a mercury warning on your tuna? Well, mercury from industrial sources enters the aquatic food chain at the very bottom. Through the process of biomagnification we just talked about, top predators like tuna and sharks, which live a long time and eat countless smaller contaminated fish, end up accumulating massive, downright dangerous levels of mercury in their tissue. And we see this vividly in the sky, too. The agricultural pesticide DDT is notorious for this. The stuff biomagnifies up terrestrial and aquatic food chains until it finally reaches birds of prey, like eagles and ospreys. This specific pesticide severely interferes with their reproduction. It causes their eggshells to become so incredibly thin that they just break during incubation, which has caused devastating population declines for these iconic birds. Down in our oceans, we have PCBs, polychlorinated biphenyls. Remember when we discussed lipophilic or fat-loving chemicals a few minutes ago? Well, marine mammals like seals and whales rely on super thick layers of blubber to survive the cold. This makes them highly vulnerable, as these chemicals get permanently trapped in their fat, leading to some really severe immune system and reproductive issues.
Section 6. Ecological and health impacts.
So what's the actual fallout here? For wildlife, the buildup of contaminants severely disrupts entire ecosystems. And it's not just about individual animals getting sick. Toxins at high concentrations completely impair reproductive functions, leading to reduced fertility across the board. They can actually cause behavioral changes, making animals worse at foraging or more prone to being eaten. Weakened immune systems mean more disease. And for endangered species, this heightened vulnerability can literally push them right over the brink into extinction, completely altering predator-prey dynamics. But hey, this isn't just an animal problem. When these toxins make their way up the food chain to us, the health hazards are severe. Consuming contaminated plants and animals exposes humans to harmful substances that can cause deep, long-term health crises. We're talking about neurological disorders, developmental delays, and cognitive impairments, which are especially dangerous for children. On top of that, some of these biomagnified contaminants heighten the risk of cardiovascular diseases, and certain chemicals are known carcinogens, directly increasing cancer risks for exposed individuals. Which leaves us with one pretty massive question to chew on. Humans are apex predators. We sit at the very top of a global food chain. As these enduring toxins continuously magnify step by step, animal by animal, what does this actually mean for our own survival? It's a stark reminder that we are absolutely not separate from the environment. We are the final destination for the invisible toxic threats we put into it. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this gives you a completely new perspective on the fragile balance of our ecosystems.